Hello everyone and welcome back to today's video. Today we will be looking through a bundle of coins spanning 1,700 years, roaming from the Roman Empire to the middle of the 16th century. I always wonder about the stage of collecting that each viewer is at, whether that be a complete beginner, watching these videos to find their feet in numismatics. It could be that you are a more experienced collector, broadening your horizons with a new area of numismatics, or you enjoy the hobby and love to watch videos on the subject and collect what you love. Well, whichever category you fall into, I hope these bundles are enjoyable to watch. Now, our first coin is actually one I purchased from Essex Coins. It is a dangerous job working for a coin dealer, as well as being a passionate coin collector and numismatist. Because when I am sent a dream coin in great condition, I often jump at the chance to buy them before posting them. This is a beautiful example of a Henry VIII groat minted during the second coinage between 1525 and 1544, and it displays the lesser recognised bust of Henry, of him in his younger years facing right. Those more familiar with the coinage will know that this is a type D, displaying the Roman nose. These were issued during the coinage of higher intrinsic value before taxes were raised and the intrinsic content was decreased. For more information on this coinage, check out the 2 Henry VIII videos in the video description. And I'm happy to get this one, as this was one of the first coins I ever purchased 2 years ago, but sadly I had sold it. The next coin wasn't actually sent to me, but I had the pleasure of filming last year from a friend. The coin is an Edward IV Bristol Rose Royale, and is one of the most expensive coins I've ever had the pleasure of handling. The gold real, also known as the Rose Real, was the English gold coin first issued in 1464 during Edward IV's first reign between 1461 and 1470. It was issued sporadically until the end of James I, and the real represents a very hard to find series of coins for those collectors with deep pockets. But there was a huge problem. From the 1430s, the price of gold had been rising, causing the gold noble, that was issued since 1344 during Edward III's reign, to be worth more on the continent than it was in England. This subsequently led to the exportation of nobles from England to the continent for profit, resulting in a national coin shortage. In an attempt to prevent the exportation and melting of English gold coins, Edward IV raised the face value of the noble to 8 shillings and 4pence in 1464 and introduced a new coin, the Rose Real, worth 10 shillings. So in order to maximise on the production of his new larger denomination, they were minted in London, as well as the provincial mints of Bristol, Coventry, Norwich and York. The provincial mints can be identified by the letter in the waves below the king's ship, with our coin displaying a B, for Bristol. The first issue real didn't last very long, and were only minted to the year 1470, when it was surpassed by the gold angel. Thirdly, we have a silver groat from the reign of Edward III. For those that can't tell already, this is a groat from Edward's treaty period coinage. I have 2 groats from his collection, both from the pre-treaty period, and this was the first treaty period coin I had ever handled. Once you become accustomed to the different portraits, the treaty groats look a lot bolder than those in the pre-treaty series, and lucky for those who struggle to ID them, have fewer subclasses too. We can also tell by the difference in obverse legend too, with the French title omitting, and has AQT at the end for Aquitaine. The groat first circulated as the Grosso, issued in Tyrol in 1271, circulating within the Holy Roman Empire and other parts of Europe. It was after these continental coins were circulated in England that Edward I issued his own. But these were extremely unpopular due to the groat being worth 4pence, but not weighing 4pence worth of silver. So these were eventually boycotted by the people and used as jewellery or buttons. Edward III was the first English monarch to introduce the successful groat, and it then stayed that way until the 17th century. Next we have another coin that I purchased from Essex Coins, so that's 2 purchases in 1 week, and now you can see how difficult it is to work for a coin dealer sometimes. This lovely little coin is a first for me too, a half groat from the reign of Henry VI. For those that have seen the Henry VI coinage made easy, will know that Henry VI coinage is one of the most interesting series, with an incredible amount of types and subtypes too, not to mention the incredible amount of denominations. The obverse displays a crown-facing bust of the king with a 9-arched treasure. The legend reads Henry by the grace of God, King of England and France, and if you look closely, we can see a diamond-shaped mascle and a pine cone in the legend too. This means we can date this to the pinecone mascle period minted between 1431 and 1432. The reverse displays my favourite reversed on any hammered coin. We have two legends, the outer legend translating to "I have made God my helper," and the inner legend indicating where the coin was minted. And just like Edward III, Henry VI minted coins in Calais, where this was produced. If you look closely, can you spot the pinecone and the mascle on the reverse? There are times where you see coins with different markings on the obverse to the reverse, and we call this a mule. The mint purchased dies in the ratio of 3:1. They would buy 3 reverse dies for every obverse die, as the reverse dies would break quicker, as it was the die being struck directly by the hammer. So they would often use leftover dies with different markings, and this thus resulting in a mule. But this unfortunately isn't an interesting mule, but a pinecone mascle for both sides. And let me know if you have any interesting mules down in the comments. Next, we have a coin from one of my favourite time periods, a lovely large Saxon penny minted under Aethelred II, alongside King Canute. Aethelred II is one of the cheapest ways to get into Saxon coin collecting. When I say cheap, a cheap Saxon penny will still cost you £200 to £400, but they are rich in history of a time we see through series like Vikings or The Last Kingdom. Aethelred was nicknamed the Unready, which was a play on the word unread, and this meaning poorly advised. The chief problem of Aethelred's reign was conflict with the Danes. Coins were produced and tax was levied through a system called Danegeld, paid to the Danish invaders to avoid conflicts. Many of the coins I see of Aethelred and Canute's reign have small peck marks on the obverse or reverse, cut deliberately by Viking invaders to check the purity of the coins, seeking assurances that they were not copper cored and contained the correct amount of silver. The obverse displays the bare head portrait of the king, and the adoption of a striking portrait modelled on a coin type from Imperial Rome, reflecting the growing confidence in the king. The reverse displays a voided cross with a mint and moneyer in the legends, and on this coin we know that it was minted in London under the moneyer godpine. Unlike the 13th century short cross coins that I can read with ease, I really struggle reading the moneyer and the mint abbreviations on Saxon coins, because it is often that the abbreviations don't match the moneyer or the mint, so you then have to translate the Latin legends into the English names. Unlike the short cross, that is much easier to distinguish. Lastly, we have a first for me, in an area that is so alien that it feels like I'm collecting coins for the very first time, and this needed a lot of research. This coin is a gold solidus that was minted under Flavius Auronius and displays the pearl diadem bust facing right, with the reverse displaying Emperor standing right, holding a labarum and victory on a glove, his foot resting on a bound captive with an RM in fields. He was the younger son of Emperor Theodosius I. After the death of Theodosius, Honorius ruled the western half of the empire while his brother Arcadius ruled the eastern half. In 410 AD, during Auronius' reign over the Western Roman Empire, Rome was sacked for the first time in almost 800 years. Even by the standards of Western Empire, Honorius' reign was precarious and chaotic, with his early reign supported by his principal general. The Romans advanced other ancient cultures' metallurgical methods, such as melting to separate slag and metal, smelting, heating in low oxygen to reduce metal oxides, casting, pouring molten metal into a mold, and hammering, pounding metal into sheets. To separate silver from natural alloys, the Romans invented a sophisticated system wherein the molten metals were granulated by pouring into cold water, and the granules smelted in the presence of salts. To increase throughput, the Romans mechanized many of these processes, for instance, employing a hydropower providing the dramatically increased throughput. In 393 to 394 AD, the silver compromising coins were refined and fashioned into a flan, or a blank, that was struck between an obverse and reverse iron dies. To support its armies, ancient Rome extracted hundreds of tons of silver each year, and its coffers stoked thousands of tons. So there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed today's bundle of coins, and if you weren't already interested in coins, hopefully piqued your interest into researching further about our incredible hobby that combines both history and numismatics. Feel free to leave a comment down below with any coins you have in your collections, and thank you all for watching, and as always, keep collecting.